So for the second example, we do something more complex. Like over a year ago for last tech ed, I built a scenario where exchange databases were created and also the underlying storage LANs. This is still the old script. It has some functions in it I've written, but what it basically does, it connects to the local storage and creates a database for an exchange server. Then it connects to the remote storage, creates a LAN and the database replication onto it, and you can select if you want to add stuff like EMC's recover point to it. But the idea was to have this script like a more easy one. So I just cd documents and make sure that it's the safe version here. Go to my PowerShell repository and it's called rp underscore exchange, and it has some options. One of it is the DB name, and the DB name is Hall 9000R. So what it should do right now, it should go to my first exchange server, and if we just look at the script, I have this hard-coded in right now, but it could also pass it as a parameter, exchange 2013 N1, builds the database with LAN with a extension underscore DB and the log with extension underscore DB, and here's a base part of the exchange. This is where it gets mounted. I can change the LAN size, database sizes and all that stuff. Pool ID is set in here, so I just fire up that script without anything than the database name here right now. Off we go. He does the automated database provisioning. First thing we need to do is discovery of the storage systems, the local and the remote storage system that we have in here. Once this is done, once we have discovered the storage systems, we will create the LANs in those storage systems and map the LAN to those hosts. See here we are connected to VNX 5300A, and we're retrieving the LAN pools. It takes a few seconds. I left this to an uncut version because I don't want to trick the time here. See if I can get my speakers more loud. Normally, once we have it done once, we don't need to refresh all the information, so it gets a little bit faster. But it's just to show you how the system works in essence. The next thing he's doing is creating production LANs. That's similar to the example we did before. While he's creating the production LANs, I just want to show you what we are going to do after he's done. So he's right now creating the LAN Hall 9000 RDB for Hyper-V E2013 N1 production on the first VNX, and he does the same for the log LAN. Once this is done, he's going out to the host itself, and on the host itself he is rescanning the drives, initializing the disks, formatting the drives. Once this is done, once this formatting is done, we can mount the exchange data or create the exchange database and mount it. This is something that we do with our EMC commands as well. So we just pipeline or pass the returned objects from one command to the other. This is just the principal idea of our PowerShell commands to make those workflows happen. Let's see where in the script we are. We are in the host provisioning. What I'm going to show you while this is running, what we are going after we have created the databases, we are automatically building some snapshots for those databases. This was something that we will do later on. Right now he's mounting the drives that he found. So one is the physical drive 11, and I guess the next one will be the physical drive 12. And as I said, later on we will connect to a so-called replication service that's called appsync, a product of EMC, and we will check for the database, and when we find it, we will subscribe the database to plan, and yeah, and just create a snapshot with new EMC exchange appsync database copy, which creates a snapshot on the VNX array. Now he's done the same thing for the now he has mounted the database LUNs and the database volumes within the operating system. He's doing the same for the log drive right now, and he's initializing and formatting it and mounting it. Once this is done, we will come to the point where he mounts the creates and mounts the Exchange database itself. So at this point in time, Exchange provisioning starts. Remember, the idea of this is normally put it into some kind of workflow, so you won't sit in front of the screen and wait that this is gonna happen. You just issue the workflow or request the database, whatever it is, and you get an email or whatever you once the task is finished. We also have the possibility in splitting the jobs and say, okay, the storage provisioning is done by the storage admin, and then the Exchange admin needs to approve the job, and once the job is approved on the Exchange side, we are starting the provisioning on the Windows / Exchange side to make sure that could eventually happen outside of production hours, like ever you want to have it. Now he's creating the Exchange mailbox database by talking to the Exchange server. So the only thing that he does right now is asking me if he should mount the Exchange database by issuing the command mount EMC mailbox database, and I say yes here. I could also do the confirm in the script, but I just left this in here to see that it's actually doing it. And once he's done with this, he's starting the same one on the remote side. At this point in time, there's a database mounted on server E20, and for the database availability group E2013 database availability group 1, and the mailbox database copy name is Hall 9000R on Exchange server 2013 and 1. It's mounted, it has no public folder database, so these are all the Exchange information. If I'm going to my Exchange server, to the Exchange control panel, and I go to servers and databases, make this a little bit larger here, servers, databases, reminding me that I'm still on the evaluation mode for 2 servers. We should find the Hall 9000R database right now, and it has only database copy on E2013 and 1. So this happened automatically. We're just creating the storage on the remote system, and once this is done, we have created the remote. I can create the database copy, and the seeding will start. Since we already have scanned for the host, this scan for the storage system, this goes a little bit faster at this stage. So now we are provisioning physical drive 7 on server HV E2013 and 2, which is my Exchange server on the secondary side, and he's using the VNX 5500B for it, which is the other array. He uses the same mount path because it's an Exchange database availability group. He has to do so, and then he's doing the same for the log. And once he has done with the log, sorry for this, we will start the seeding of the database, and then we will see it as well within our Exchange control panel. I always have to revert back to the word Exchange Control Panel, to the web interface. It might be worth to notice that this information and this creation of databases also could be done from within the ESI MMC UI. So for those who are using Exchange 2013 and miss a management console, you can do all those tasks within the EMC ESI MMC. If we just flip over to the MMC, there's an Exchange tab where we can go to the Exchange server, and here you have the possibilities to create mailbox database, copies, mount, dismount databases and all that stuff. If I refresh that information here later on, I will see the newly created HAL 9000R database. Now he's adding the database copy for that database, and once he's done with it, that whole task of Exchange provisioning is done. And remember, I just issued one command, create a database that's named HAL 9000R, and the rest is in my script. So here we go. Copy status is healthy because it's an empty database right now. If we go to our Exchange control panel and there's a refresh button, we will see that it's also available on HVE 2013 and 2, so it has database copies on 2 servers, and we are done with this replication. So we're just marking that one because I am a lazy guy, and put this in here, $db name is HAL 9000R. Should have done this earlier maybe. So I told you we have a system that's creating bookmarks of that database. I just sign into the system. It's called appsync. And in appsync, what you essentially do is you subscribe databases to service plans and tell him create a copy of my database. Now he's loading the appsync system. If I go to copy management, Microsoft Exchange, I could see my Exchange 2013, and you see currently the mailbox database HAL 9000R isn't in here. He will do it if I do discover databases. I won't do it from in here because I want to do this from PowerShell, and I want to create the copy as well from PowerShell. So I don't use that environment at all. So I just set my DB name. Just go down here a little bit. Just set my DB name to HAL 9000R because I use the variable DB name later on. I connect to my appsync with get EMC replication service HV appsync. If we look at appsync, that's the system. We have to refresh it all. Also, it tells me about the registered host, the VNX storage systems, like I was showing you in the MMC UI earlier, or what you see in the GUI as well. For this appsync system, we update all the Exchange parts. So what we are going now, he talks to all the registered host plugins, and eventually there might be Exchange on those hosts. So he's going to each host and asks them, is Exchange installed right now, yes or no? If so, I'm going to discover the databases. So he's discovering the databases for our database availability group right now, and he will find those new databases. As I told you also, we have something that we call service plans. So we have to subscribe a database or a complete database availability group to a service plan, and that's what we go to do next. We subscribe the database to the service plan browser. Since I have some more servers here to discover, it takes a short amount of time. Once this is done, we will read the service plan. This is a functionality that is new in version 3.5, and version 3.5 will be released in a few days or weeks, so it's not far away to version. So what I do right now is I set my $SP, which stands for service plan, with get EMC appsync service plan minus Exchange. So give me the Exchange service plans. There are built-in service plans. and I want to have it matched to the name processor because I only want to have the process service plan. Right now he's refreshing or initializing the service plans from the appsync system. This is done via a REST API. If I look at $appsync, appsync is refreshed, and if I look at my $SP, this is my service plan. It's for Exchange. It creates a Microsoft Exchange full local backup copies. And it has data elements list. So data elements are the currently subscribed objects to that service plan. Now let's have a look if we can find the database within appsync, because we did the update to appsync and it's there. It's not currently subscribed to a database, and we see the file elements Exchange Hall 9000R log and the EDB and the checkpoint file. This is everything that makes up the database. So what I do next, I subscribe it to service plan, and it's subscribed to the service plan processor. It protects the passive copy of that database, and I do it right now with new EMC Exchange database copy. Off we go. I say run, and Mr. Rottenberg has the first snapshot backup of his Exchange database. So what we do right now is an application discovery. So we check the underlying storage technology, which storage array it is on. Once this is done, within the application discovery, we also take care if something has changed within the last discovery. We do the mapping to the drives and look for which array we have to run the snap on, and then we do the snapshot. It should take not longer than a few seconds for that mapping and snapshotting. And yeah, normally this is automatically scheduled by appsync. This is just to see how you can do it for like an on-demand backup from an Exchange administrator, from a service task, whatever it is, because normally we would schedule that service plan to run once every 24 hours. So he's creating the local copy, and the database is snapped. And we have the storage serial number it was running on. It was running on the 464 array. It was not validated. That means we didn't have a either util running against it. We don't need it. It's a VNX snapshot that we done, and the copy status was success, so we could purge the logs. If we go to our appsync system and we don't do refresh, we go back and forth, we see, okay, Hall 9000R is subscribed to the service plan process. If we go in here, there's a full backup that was done. It's not mounted, it's a VNX snap, and it's on that array. It comes from that service plan processor where the others are in, and here again we see the copies that make up that service plan process, so it's in line right now with all the others. That's so far how we integrate via PowerShell from our storage system also to our applications that drive storage systems. So you get a nice overview how we integrate the various bits and pieces within EMC, hard and software, and the connection piece of it might be PowerShell or just a simple REST API. Thanks and bye bye.